Olá, seja muito bem-vindo e bem-vinda no meu canal aqui do YouTube. Se você caiu aqui de paraquedas, eu me chamo Mariana Holanda e eu atualmente moro aqui na Austrália. Eu imigrei já com trabalho. No vídeo de hoje eu entrevistei o australiano que me contratou quando eu ainda estava no Brasil. Eu estou muito feliz de poder ter essa oportunidade de mostrar para vocês isso. Eu fiz essa entrevista com ele numa live lá no Instagram, então se você não me segue ainda lá, @bymariolanda, e eu vou ficar muito feliz se você se inscrever nesse canal também para eu continuar trazendo os conteúdos para vocês. Agora vamos pro vídeo.
The Nazi song. How are you?
What was the song? Good.
Men at Work Down Under.
Oh, right, yes. Classic song.
Thank you so much, Scott, for being here with us today. I really appreciate that. It is really important to having you today. To all of people here, we are all immigrants and foreign in a different countries. So, thank you so much.
No worries at all.
Okay, so let's start introducing you, and I know that you have already been an immigrant as well in other countries, so if you'd like to mention that to all of them, just to introduce yourself.
Sure. So yes, as Mariana mentioned, been working in the industry, in the banking industry, for probably, well, most of my life. So I started off in insurance companies, and then joined one of the largest banks in the world. Worked my way up the ladder. there. Being such a big bank gave me opportunities to travel overseas. So I've done quite a bit of traveling. I've worked in the US for about 2 years, and then I've done a lot of traveling around the world, just to different trainings and conferences and things like that. So, you know, mainly Hong Kong. I think Hong Kong's the biggest hub near Australia, and the UK. Been there a few times as well. So yeah, within the industry and working for a big, large bank, you get lots of opportunities to travel. So yeah, hopefully I can give you some hints and help you around, you know, trying to get into one of the big banks and start moving around the world.
Yeah, that's right. Okay, so I do have here some questions, all of them from the Brazilians that are sent to me in the past two last days. So let's start with the first one, which is how to catch a recruiter's attention in the resume if you are applying to a role from outside the country. What do you think about it?
Yeah, well, that's a good question, because working for large banks, you get resumes coming from all over the place. So they'll come internally, they'll come via LinkedIn, they'll come in via external recruiting companies. And these days they all go to HR to vet them. So HR will get the resume, go through it, and probably pick out about 5% of the resumes before it gets to someone like me who would be recruiting for the role. So I think it's very important that on the resume, to make it stick out, it's probably trying to get the skills on there that really match the role that they're looking for.
Requirements, yeah.
Yeah, so the job requirements, and probably try to be more specific. You know, as Mariana, you would have, around knowledge of the local market, being able to transpose that from Brazil to Australia, you know, and giving examples of you know, your knowledge and corporate actions and things like that. So, you know, what we're looking for, and to be honest, you know, looking at a resume, once the resumes get to us, we'll go through them. But because they've been vetted, we would see most people that actually get through that process of getting to us. And then it really is about selling yourself in the interview process, which we'll talk about a bit later.
Okay, so before it goes to you, like the manager, the hiring manager, it will pass through the recruiters, and they will like saying this is not going and this is going. So it is really important to have all the information in there, the important information, including especially if you have it and if you meet all the requirements from the job description. That's right. What were the job requirements for Mariana's position, and what reasons made you hire a foreign? This is hard.
Well, it is and it isn't. So, Mariana, you had an advantage because you were working for the same company. So, if you were coming from outside, it would have been a lot more difficult. But I mean, as I sort of touched on a bit earlier, so we both worked in the same functionality of the bank. So, direct custody, so settling, shares directly into the market. And managing them back to our clients. So, I did interview other people internally and externally, but where you were very strong in the interview and, gave great examples to questions and, that's pretty much why you were perfect for the role. Yeah, so that's probably why you got the opportunity.
Yeah, good. Got it. It is important to say that I've applied for the role. So it was not a position where I have been transferred. Like, I had to apply for the role and I had to go through all the process to be hired as a new hired person. So what is the next one? What is the most common mistake that non-Australians commit in an interview?
That's a very tough question, and I'll tell you why it's tough. Is because working for a large global bank, a lot of people, like, how can I rephrase it? So in Australia, and especially in Sydney, a lot of people are not from Sydney; they're international. So at the new role I'm working in now, I don't think there's anyone that was born in Australia. They're all from overseas. Admittedly, they're now residents or citizens, but they've all travelled, so to say non-Australian, I'm not sure how to answer it, but
this is the majority of people that you interview.
Well, that's right, exactly. So, I'd probably just get back to, any interview, you really need to sell yourself to have the person interviewing think, I want that person. That's what you really need to think about, when you're interviewing. Sell yourself, make that person interviewing think that you're the one.
Yeah.
And the other thing is, a lot of people in interviews, and I do it myself, which is probably not a great thing, but within the first probably 5 minutes of an interview, you'll know whether that person's suitable for the role. And that comes down to communication, their persona in the interview, are they confident? So all those things as well.
Okay. Yeah. So first of all, you need to really make sure that the person will meet all the requirements, and then you go through the person, like other skills that will be really important to do the job. Yeah. I think when they mention no Australians, they are worried about the visa, because to hire a foreigner, you need a sponsor visa most of the case.
Yes.
So they have, like, Brazilians have a mentality of thinking that this is not possible. This is impossible, actually, to get a sponsor visa. And I try to tell them this is not true. If you do meet all the requirements and the hiring managers really wants you, you're gonna get the job. Right.
I mean, I think the path you've taken is probably the best way, I would think. I mean, not having lived or been to Brazil, but I think if you can get into a large global company, those large global companies will always look for opportunities to move people around the world. So once you get in, and exactly what you did, Mariana, you made it known that you want to travel, and that message got to the right people. So, not only did you apply for the role, but I also had our product managers saying, hey, we know of Mariana in Brazil, she wants to travel, if she's suitable for the role, give her an opportunity. So so that's very big as well. So one, try to get your foot in the door, and two, be vocal. Let people know you want to travel. So they'll think about you. Yeah.
Let everybody know that you want to move,
Yeah.
and also do your best in your current position,
Yeah.
because it's really important. So the first thing that you did was to talk to my former manager, right? So
yes,
it's really important. So you have to be a good at your job.
Yeah, well, that is extremely important, Mariana, because if the feedback from your direct manager was negative, the process would have stopped. So,
Exactly.
you know, I suppose 3 steps. One, get your foot in the door with a large global company, do the best you can, and communicate. Tell everyone that you want to travel. The more senior people, and you'll get visitors coming in from all over the world, from the US and UK, Hong Kong. Try to get in front of them. Try to, have a chat with them and say, I'd love to, come and work in Hong Kong or US or Australia. Because when they hear that, they'll go, all right, that's good to know. So they'll think about you when opportunities come up.
Exactly. Love that. I always tell this to all of them. Just make sure that everybody knows that you want to move. Okay. So the next one, in your opinion, what are the minimum requirements that a foreign needs to meet in order to be hired? Well,
yeah, well, again, I wouldn't be specific to someone that wasn't Australian, because I think this is general across the world. Look, when I started work quite a while ago, I didn't go to university. I didn't even finish matriculation, which is our highest level of school in Australia. I just learned how to type and communicate, and I got offered jobs at 3 banks in one day. That's all changed. That's all changed. Now, the minimum requirement, no matter where you come from, is a degree. It doesn't really matter what in, to be honest. I mean, ideally, if you're going to work for a bank, it would be economics or, business, finance, whatever. But it doesn't really matter.
Yeah,
like my
have is really important. Yeah.
That's right. So Leslie, my wife, who you've met, Mariana, her degree was in veterinary science, so working with animals. So, so goes to show you that it doesn't have to be specific. But yeah, the minimum requirement is a degree. As I said, HR will vet your resumes. So I'd think if something came through that was straight out of school, hasn't worked before, that wouldn't get through to me, for instance, to perform an interview.
Okay, so yeah, you have to catch recruiters' attention in your resume, which is really important. Yeah. Do you use LinkedIn, Scott, to hire people nowadays?
So I don't personally, but the industry does. So when we go out to our HR teams to look for a recruitment, they'll look at LinkedIn, they'll look at Seek. I don't know whether you've used Seek in Brazil. Yeah.
Yes.
And then the recruitment agents.
Okay.
So yes, they do look at that. But I think mainly it's more Seek rather than LinkedIn these days. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Okay, cool. Was the sponsor visa an obstacle in the process of hiring a foreign?
No, well, it wasn't, because again, working for such a big company, we're transferring people around the world all the time. So, if I had to do that myself, if I was a small business and had to do it myself, I'd really struggle. So being such a big company that transfers people around the world, they have a whole team that helps you, with what you need to do. They'll organise your visa. So that helps a lot. So, I mean, if you're doing it on your own, it's very, expensive. In fact, a girl that's working in my team now, she actually is contracting, and she's Irish. And I think she said it's costing her $7,000 or $8,000 for her visa. So doing it on your own is very difficult and expensive, but doing it with a global company, they make it quite easy. And I mean, you could back that up, Mariana. How did you feel?
Well, it was actually fine, to be
Yeah.
honest with you.
Yeah.
If I was going to United States, I probably would like suffer a lot more because
Yeah.
the process is. But my visa, it took like 15 days to get approved.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
it's fine. But it is important to mention that you can't apply for a sponsor visa by your own. So you need a company that wants to hire you, right?
Yes.
And in that case that you mentioned, is her like paying for the costs of the visa on behalf of the company, or what is happening in that case?
Yeah, well, from the cost point of view, the company is always going to pay it, so they won't have you pay it, for instance.
Yeah.
So, you know, again, it gets back to that: get your foot in the door, tell people what you want to do, and then they'll make it easy for you. I mean, I know the move that Leslie, my wife, and I made to the US. You know, there was some hiccups along the way, but they made it very easy for us. They moved our pet dog over there. You know, paid for all of that and made it very easy for us. So if we did that on our own, we probably never would have gone. So so yeah, it's important to get in there and get them working for you.
To apply for a small company, so focus on the biggest one.
Well, that's right. I mean, a small company in Australia wouldn't look overseas, to be honest. You know, and the whole world's changed in the last 3 months, as you all know. So that's just going to make things a lot more difficult. So the only way you could possibly move globally is by getting a job with a big global company.
Yeah, right. Thank you. So next one is, what is the most important requirement to be hired in the financial industry in Australia?
Well, again, it's more about the person. So, you know, and it depends. I mean, if you're going for a role as a trader, you know, you obviously need that experience in the market. If you're going for roles like we've got Mariana in custody or operations, you know, we'll always look for people that have worked in that industry and know something about the market. But it all comes down to the interview, and communication is number one. So your communication skills is very important. Your confidence is very important. And we're always going to look for someone that's going to fit into a team environment. So, you know, if you're a bit withdrawn in the interview, the person's going to think, well, you're probably not going to fit in with our team because, you know, if a team doesn't gel, if you've got one person in a team that's doesn't gel with the rest of the team, it all falls apart. So communication skills is number one, and confidence in the interview. Really sell yourself. Yeah.
Wow, this is so important to all of us. Thank you, Scott. So next one, why did you not hire an Australian for Mariana's role? Wow. You already answered that one.
Yeah, I think I've answered that. I mean, it really is not specific to your background. I mean, I know you mean non-Australian as in just someone that lives in Australia, but, you know, with a global company, you'll look at anyone that applies. If you've got the right skills that match the role, you'll get an opportunity. You know, if it's a smaller company, they'll probably look to Australia rather than, you know, go through the sponsoring process.
But do you think that like hiring someone that is not in the country, it will like take more time to get that person in the country? Do you think that could impact on the process or something like this?
Yes, sometimes it could. I mean, I'll be 100% honest. Sometimes it could. If your role, for instance, if we were desperate that 2 people walked out the door and we just had to get someone in really quickly, we would go locally, or we would move someone internally from Sydney or Melbourne, like within Australia. So yeah, sometimes it will be an obstacle, but most of the time, you know, people know that the recruiting process can take up to, you know, 2 to 3 months. So, you know, you should still be able to get that opportunity.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that's right. Would you hire a student in case you have a part-time role, and why?
So look, yes, I would, but no, it's not possible. so,
So you
so,
personally, you would, but in that in the case,
well, I used to always look back at myself. Yeah. So, I mean, I wasn't even a student really. So I just came, excuse me, straight out of school. And when I was recruiting, you know, probably 10, 15 years ago, I wouldn't rule out that person because I can do the role quite well, and you know, I didn't go to university. But within the banking, bigger global companies, you know, you're looking for someone permanent, you know, that wants to get on with their career. You're not really going to look at taking on a student part time. You know, we don't really even do what do you call it? Job work experience. So we won't do that. We won't do that either. And the main reason for that is security these days. So you know, you need a pass to get in. You have to do background checks, police checks, and all of that these days. That it's just not worth doing it for someone that's not going to be in the longer term.
Okay, yeah, because you have to consider the visa time and the duration of the visa. So.
Correct. That's right. Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. I got you. So, what is the main reason to hire, not hire foreign? Again, so you have already answered that. So it does not. It's not related to the foreign. It is related to the person that needs to meet all the requirements.
Correct.
Did Mariana show great in the interview, and what was that important to the hiring process?
So you want me to give away your interviewing skills?
Oh, this is really embarrassing.
No, so I think, you know, without making it specific to you, I think.
Yeah, please.
I mean, the interview is the most important piece of the puzzle. So if you don't sell yourself in the interview, you're just not going to get the job. So, I mean, you came to the interview, and admittedly, your interview was a little bit more relaxed because you worked for the company. We sort of had an informal chat before the more serious interview. But again, the interview process is so important that you need to be confident. You should engage the person that is the interviewer, as in ask them questions. You know, I'll give you a little trick that I used to ask people. So working for a large bank, I would ask the person what the stock exchange index in Australia was at today. And probably 90% wouldn't know the answer. And my question then was, well, are you really interested in working in a banking, you know, in markets, because you don't know, you're not following the market?
Yeah, that's right.
Now that wouldn't knock them out. I mean, it was more of a trick question for me. But I would know that. I would know the company. So if you were going for a job with Citibank, for instance, you know, do a bit of fact finding around Citibank. Know who the CEO is, and say, oh well, you know, I don't know who the CEO is, but let's say his name is John Smith, and just say, I know John Smith's the CEO. And if you show some interest in the company, that goes a long way. So.
That's right.
You know, never ever leave an interview at the end when the interviewer says, "Have you got any questions?" and you don't have any. That's not good. Always have questions.
Important. Always have questions, especially because that shows the interest that you
shows interest.
Yeah, that's right.
That's
I
right.
remember you asked me in the interview to give an example where I was under pressure in the job.
Yes.
I think I was, oh my God, okay. I'm always under pressure, but which one I'm gonna tell him?
Yeah. No, that's right. So think about it. I mean,
ones as well.
Exactly. I mean, you can just go on the internet these days and look up interview questions, and you know, you can practice with some of those. I mean, you know, no one comes out with too difficult questions. It is more providing examples and just selling yourself. You know, communication is key with any job. So be confident in what you're saying and, you know, really try to sell yourself. And one of the questions I always ask at the end of an interview is, why are you the person? Why should I hire you rather than the other people I'm interviewing? So that's something quite a few people will ask in an interview. So be prepared to answer that as well. And again, the answer that we're looking for is, you know, I communicate, I engage upwards, I manage upwards. You know, I want a long career. I want to use this opportunity to, you know, get mobility around the world, and think of all those types of things as your answer.
Oh, that's amazing. Thank you, Scott. Okay, let me see if I do have any other questions for you. I don't think so. They are mostly... oh, we do have one here in the box. So
yep.
This is coming from Cleveson. How to proceed when you recently graduate and have no experience in the area?
Well, again, I mean, you're just going to have to look for the roles that you're interested in. So not having experience within the industry doesn't really matter too much. So, you know, in the roles that Mariana and I have worked in, or the functions within the bank, experience is not key. We would probably still look at someone that was, you know, straight out of uni, if they showed those key things in an interview process. So from your resume point of view, you'd be selling about what you've done within your university. You talk about projects you've worked on. You talk about any committees you've been involved in. So you try to put on your resume what could transfer into the workplace. So, you know, being on committees and leading projects, presenting to others, they're all the things that we'd be looking for to go, okay, well, you know, that can transfer into the workplace. And then again, yeah, in your interview, just sell yourself.
Yeah,
you know, I'm the best person you can have here.
Yeah, it is called transferable skills. I always mention to them, this is really important for you to show your transferable skills. So if you, oh, how can I can't close the question. Okay, so this is really important. And as you said, I didn't have experience in the Australian market. So
no,
yeah,
no, correct.
Yeah, but I was in the role in the you know, the same position in Brazil, so I could you know, show all my skills, and I've learned fast in here when I came to Australia, and I could apply all these skills that I had in the job here. So yes. And one of the things is it was really important as well in my process. It was networking, because you knew my name because of networking as well.
Correct.
Right. So
very important.
Yeah, that's really important as well.
Yeah.
Okay, so I don't have any other questions. Thank you so much.
But I hope that's helped.
Definitely.
Yeah.
This is gold.
Yeah.
Definitely help all of them. I'm sure they are gonna use all your tips, and that's amazing. Thank you so much. Do you have you ever interviewed any Brazilian before?
Yes, I've worked with a couple of people from Brazil before. Yes, I have.
Oh, okay. But have you hired any Brazilian before?
No, I haven't. Apart from yourself, I can't recall.
Okay.
I might have, because I've been recruiting people for years, but I can't recall off the top of my head.
Okay. Thank you so much, Scott. Really.
No worries. All right. Good luck, everyone.
The opportunity. Thank you so much.
All right. No worries. See you later.
Bye.
Bye.